Why this story matters in a time when pessimism is easier, this story provides a grounded reason for optimism. Quick summary: this story highlights recent developments related to civic engagement, showing how constructive action can lead to meaningful results. Just off the bustling Rue Montorgueil, one of the most commercial streets in Paris, the Centre Cerise, or Cherry Sociocultural Center, is a haven of local community. At the cafe in the back, where the ceiling is covered in a sea of mirrors, a young barista whistles behind the counter, and a trio of elderly women chat over an afternoon coffee. These humble surroundings, simple as they appear, are a pillar of local democracy, and they recently received a much-needed city fund of renovation. Would you like to read more good news about civic engagement, urbanism, France, Paris, and democracies? The Cherry Centre Cafe. Credit Peter Yoon. For the past decade, every year, Parisians like Desprez have been able to see their proposals come to life on the streets of the French capital. Under the city's participatory budget, any resident above the age of 7, regardless of their nationality, can propose a project to be paid for by municipal funds. The model, increasingly popular across the globe, is helping authorities spend resources efficiently and boost democratic participation in an era when trust in government is low and political apathy is on the rise. In Paris, more than 2,100 ideas have been submitted by citizens since the scheme, launched in 2014, resulting in 334 funded projects and an expenditure of 765 million, almost 900 million, including 265 million set aside for low-income districts. Each proposal must pass a feasibility study by City Hall before being voted on by residents online or at hundreds of ballot boxes installed across the city in the fall. It is a very good device, and it's important, says Yves Sintemat, a French researcher and co-author of the book Participatory Budgeting in Europe, an analysis of initiatives in 10 countries. Paris has invested a lot, and with it you can transform a lot of things. It's led to the creation of rooftop farms, children's play areas, community art murals, shade structures, and baggage storage for the homeless, as well as a number of projects at the Cherry, which was founded in 1909. In 2016, following the centre's first successful budget proposal, benches were installed in the street out front, providing a place for people to congregate for free. Further funding from the participatory budget enabled the centre to buy a cargo bike shared with other local businesses for short-distance deliveries in 2019, reading the intro sign in 2021, and renovate the cafe a couple of years later. The place had fallen into disrepair. It was yellowing. The lights weren't working well, explains Desprez. We had to save the cafe. While the Parisian participatory budget is now the largest in the world, worth hundreds of millions of euros a year, or 5% of the city's total spending, the model was pioneered in Brazil in the 1970s, according to Archon Fung, professor of citizenship and self-government at the Harvard Kennedy School. In 1989, he says, the Progressive Workers' Party in the Brazilian city of Porto Alegre set aside 10% of the annual municipal budget in an effort to help redistribute funding towards low-income communities and to fight corruption by improving transparency.
Participatory budget voting in Paris.
Credits Peter Yoon. Although during the first few years there were logistical challenges, Fund says, the Porto Alegre initiative went on to become a huge success, funneling resources to communities in need and involving tens of thousands of citizens in the political process. From 1978 to 1977, for example, the percentage of households with sewer and water connections increased from 5% to 98%.
The number of schools more than quadrupled.
Public housing increased more than tenfold. It really did work, allocating more to disadvantaged people and reducing corruption, says Fung. It put a big thumb on the scale to make the city more equal. Since then, participatory budgets have exploded in popularity and spread across the globe. According to Participedia, a resource founded by Fung in 2010, there are more than 2,250 examples of innovative schemes involving the public in democratic processes, including, but not limited to, participatory budgets across 160 countries today. These include a Canadian non-profit working with prisoners to decide how to invest 5% of its resources, development agencies launching the budget with residents in the West African nation of Benin, and British firefighting authorities collaborating with locals on how money is spent in order to improve safety. In New York City, which launched its pilot initiative in 2011, with 4 city council districts, over 90,000 residents cast ballots to decide how to spend $30 million of the city's 2026 budget. Proponents say participatory budgets provide authorities with valuable information about the real needs of communities, are an efficient use of resources, and create buy-in and engagement from local citizens. In local and national democracies all over the West, there's a greater desire for democratic innovation driven by a dissatisfaction with political systems and how democracy is working, says Fons. A 2023 study notes on average municipalities in North America, Europe, Asia, and Latin America that adopted participatory budgeting saw public trust rise significantly from 30% in 2023 to 70% in 2023. The researchers concluded that the model fosters financial prudence, reduces corruption risks, and strengthens public engagement in governance. The 2023 participatory budget in Paris saw a record in with president's votes. Credit. Peter Jung experts like Font argue that participatory budgets are more successful when they have a clear impact on people's lives. Therefore, projects on housing, water, and energy work well, but addressing more complex issues such as climate change is tougher. Pilots with state-level participatory budgets in Brazil also face difficulties, he adds. It's more appropriate for the local level to address very tangible problems.